last few episodes here on the Just Create SMP, I've managed to build myself a dirt factory, build myself a tunnel that has chunk loading capabilities and lava production, and I've also made myself a little dirty shop so I could sell all of my dirt products. But I think now that the dirt is out of the bag, it is now time for me to work on another larger project. For that larger project, I want to build a chocolate factory. Oh yes. See, I just took a trip to Orlando Studios and they had a really interesting building there. It was the Chocolate Emporium, which is kind of a milkshake shop and also a candy shop and stuff like that, but it was very steampunk looking, very, very cool, and it inspired me to really want to set up and build it, and also have a chocolate factory inside of it. But to get this thing up and running, it's going to require a lot of minor farms, including, for example, cocoa bean farm. We're going to need a sugarcane farm for sugar, some sweet berries because we're going to need to have things to coat in chocolate. And then we also want probably some wheat, so that way we can have some bread and we can make honey rolls with all of the milk that we're also going to have to gather. There's just a lot of steps, and that means we're going to need to make something to farm all of these items. And as of right now, I didn't actually set up harvester productions, and I think it was because of how expensive harvesters are in comparison to everything else. But at this point, everything is built up. I think it'd be a good time to add some harvesters into the mix. And also future plans, I went ahead and I made crushing wheel automation. This is kind of neat. So what I've done for the crushing wheels, by the way, is I've gone ahead and I've set up a little factory that spits out the individual components that are needed. And I just have an arm that grabs those individual components and sends them into the back of a mechanical crafter, because unfortunately I wasn't able to get the crushing wheels to use the mechanical crafter the same way that a standard 3x3 recipe works. So instead I had to turn this into a process, and the items just essentially get funneled out. The arm picks the items up and throws them into here, and they get automatically crafted and then just simply returned back. But now this is a little bit easier to do. This whole factory was made so I can make modules and I can continue adding on to it. And well, I just need to click here to select the main network, and then I'll just place this on here. And then we just need to grab out of here. Let's see, we need harvesters. Drag that inside. And then we just need to set everything that's required for the recipe. So for example, we need andesite alloy, casing, and iron sheets. So we'll just say iron sheets, and then we'll say andesite alloy, which is all the way over here. And then we'll also add the casing, and that should automatically know that those are the items required to craft. So just like this. And then we say use mechanical crafter like this, and we say crafter underscore CA. That's what it should be listed under. And perfect. So now we can actually get this thing going and set this, just like everything else, to request 9 stacks. And so over here, we should start to see these things being crafted up as per normal. Now, I've got a lot of work ahead of me. I need to start by making some farms, and we just recently got a little bit of chunk loading area to be able to make these farms in. But this also got me thinking about how you can send items over long distances. You don't just have to use trains with Create. As remember whenever I set up the lava generation, well, you could also send any item through a portal, have it continued on, and it could travel 8 times quicker than it would in the overworld, because every block in the nether is the equivalent to 8 in the overworld. The cool thing is the chunk sizing is still the same, and the portal will still load the same amount of chunks in the overworld and the nether, meaning that you can traverse essentially 8 times as many chunks in the small chunk that you have allotted to you inside of the nether. But what I'm getting at is you could technically have a chain of portals that were linked up that are carrying items and self-loading each other, because these will stay loaded for about 15 seconds once an item goes through. I mean, and you could literally send items anywhere. All of this just by simply using some conveyor belts. Now don't get me wrong, sending trains through the portal is also a thing that you can do, and it's a lot more work. But I did just want to mention that you can send items long distance because this will load itself due to this vanilla mechanic. Now, because of this loader here, we have about 5 by 5 worth of chunks to play with. And that means I think a vertical farm will be good. But you guys did let me know that this bypass tunnel will become all kinds of clogged up if we have items, for example, here and blah, blah, blah. Well, that's another problem that we can probably solve using the portals, like I mentioned before. See, what we could do is we could have the farms here in this loaded area, but we could also send those items over into a loading zone. Now, I know I'm talking a lot, but it is a lot of big brain concepting. That's exactly what I'm doing here, is trying to formulate these ideas in my head. The hard part is actually putting them into the world, because it's almost like an unknown if this is actually going to work. It's kind of a theory, just using some of the basic knowledge that I already have. So you know what? I think this would be a perfect place to get a farm that is essentially going to produce all of these major items here and potentially more, as I can have this go vertically. So we can have a ton of different farms all in this one, and we can handle this in multiple different vaults that we can then use to potentially send to a loading zone. But I do want to store them for right now in some larger vaults. And this should all be loaded thanks to this loader right here. It looks like it's time to grab my stuff and get it set up and ready to start making some farms. Ooh, and I am getting pretty low on rockets, so I should probably buy some of those. And I think Stam now has a new package that I can buy. So we have TNT, gunpowder, rockets. There's a pickup station. Is there, let's see, how many? That's just 64. Oh, here's the bundle. Yes, rocket mega bundle, gunpowder mega bundle. Oh yes, this is what I want right here. 6 diamonds. That is so much cheaper. Okay. And I will take one of those. Perfect. And yeah, let me have some of that. Perfect. Now I can have all of my rockets right here, and I just need to put that in my shulker box. After getting out of Sam's shop, I was like, you know what? This could probably use a little bit of a touch up. And yeah, I got in contact with eggs, and you know what? This is fantastic. Not super creepy at all. But yeah, we do have in the recent update the ability to use armor stands. So we have armor stands and we can model them around. We can add skins to them, including this creepy skin that we placed underneath here. By the way, you're going to see more of eggs in the episode here in a bit. But this was definitely something that I wanted to show. I can't wait to see the reactions of others that decide to use the shop. Oh, and speaking of the shop, something else I want to do. Thanks to Simon Says BR over in the YouTube comments. Thank you so much for commenting, by the way. Says, set the prices way higher in the shop and sell it for like 90% off in the back alley. And you know what? I love that idea. I think that's hilarious. And use the same shop. And I was thinking what I could do is like I could have some garbage cans, or they look like garbage cans, I guess, in the back. Like I can make this like a garbage, like a dumpster. It looks like this, right? And then on the top, we can have copycat panels. And then we just set the texture of the copycat panel to look more like a dumpster lid. love this. And then what we could do is around here, we could place some areas to buy these cheaper by using these covers. Like, it'll still come out of the same place. Like, don't get me wrong, it'll come out of the same place. We just have to click on here and we need to say, hey, on mud, 4 stacks of mud. And this is going to be for 1. And that is going to be already identified when we place this down. So there we go. There's a little shop for mud. And I was also thinking I could add the schematic table underneath this. And I might have to configure this a little bit to get this to work a little bit better. But yeah, there we go. You get the idea. Essentially, this is going to be the same price that exists. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to inflate these prices. So now the back alleyway is going to be the cheaper prices. I don't know about the 90% thing, but I can scale this up, and I'm just going to increase this to 4. So yeah, there's going to be a little bit of a discount if you use the back alleyway. But all of the items, by the way, are still going to end up here. So just to make it a little bit more obvious, dirty little discount, 75% off on the back alleyway. You'd honestly have to peep around to be able to find this. Oh man, I can't wait to see some of the reactions, like especially for the clown in the sewers. Oh, that's gonna scare some people. Anyways, I've got some mining to do, so let's kick that off. So yeah, I'm definitely tired at this point of manually mining out. So you know what I might do? I might just make a drill platform and glue it all together that is literally the length of this position here all the way over here. And then I could just hand crank this thing. I mean, I could set it up with some rotational energy, but I mean, it'll be easier for me, I think, to just hand crank it until I go down enough levels for, well, the things that we're going to need. For example, sugarcane. And making sure that I keep in mind that I do want dirt on top of this layer. So I'll have a dirt layer, and then directly underneath that, a stone layer I think will be fine. So that way I can have water and not have to worry about it. And then between each of these layers, I mean, we're only going to need like a one wide gap. We'll probably keeping them nice and consistent. But I've got to go collect a whole bunch of drills. Just need to request a couple drills, nothing big. Now I've just got to set this up with all of these individual drills. It's going to be a lot of placing in, but it is going to save me a lot of time, honestly. And the cool thing is I have not used rope pulleys in a long time. And actually, rope pulleys used to be the only way you could make an elevator with the Create mod. Back in its early days, that was all we had. We didn't have an elevator. That was kind of a new addition. And so there had been many times where I had used the rope pulley for contraption related projects, like handling items, depositing down into an area, and then using redstone to reverse the direction that it was pulling items up. And it could just literally pull an entire like storage container up to a level to have items processed. It was pretty cool. But yes, you can also use it for drills for things like this. But is it super efficient? Not really. I mean, for something like this, it makes a whole lot of sense. Mining for resources, I mean, it's good early game, but I mean, you definitely probably want to move on to a drill before long. I mean, I can't even, like outside of this right here, like I don't even know what else you would use this for. I mean, it does take a lot of time to place in all of these drills anyways. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, I could probably use my vertical drill. I would just have to remodify it. And that's why I'm kind of going with this. Now, I also wanted to mention, in regards to the chunks, I've been saying a 5x5, but it is primarily a 3x3 of chunks from the center portal. And then the outer edge, which would be the 5x5 outside of the 3x3 bound. Well, that's a lazy chunk loading where it handles block updates, but it doesn't handle like the entities. So entities will most likely stay frozen. That means we can't really throw items around or anything like that in those chunks. But I think sending items should work on like belt conveyors and things like that. I'm pretty sure that's just something that I have no idea. I have to test, and concepting in my brain doesn't, I have no idea until I literally do it. And honestly, sometimes just testing chunk loading can be kind of hard because to know if it's even working in the first place, you have to not be there. So yeah, that could become kind of a problem with testing as well. So with this, I'm going to try my best to stay within the original 3x3 just directly underneath the portal. So I have this chunk, there's a chunk directly in the middle and another chunk. So this does cover exactly 3 chunks and stays within the bounds. Now with all of the drills in, the hard part, literally gluing it all together. And voila, all of this now put together. So let's go ahead and test this out. I'm going to put the hand crank on here. And there's a few settings on here, but I don't think we're gonna have to worry about any of it. I mean, it's basically the same as any of the others. We have place only when anchor is destroyed. I'm just gonna do it place when stopped. I think that's gonna be more than fine. And so we just need to tilt this, holding shift it looks like, until it connects. Once it's connected, I can just keep doing this and it's all going to just destroy what's underneath it one at a time. Now, the items are getting dropped in the world. I don't really want to collect them, but if you did want to collect them, if you had a storage attached to this and that's glued to it, it's going to work like any of the other contraptions, and it's just simply going to put all of those items immediately into a chest. I'm just going to let them despawn. Now, I know you're probably thinking, Chosen, but your food, you're just wasting hunger doing that. Come on. You remember, I'm the one who made the steak farm. I have unlimited access to it. It's so much steak. So now I think I've got this layered out just the way I want it. 1, 2, 3. That's the 3 gap right here. And if I branch across, then it will be dirt, a layer of dirt. And then we have underneath that a layer of stone. And then under this we have 1, 2, and then 3 layer of dirt, layer of stone. And I've kind of got this set up 1, 2, 3 gap, air gap, and then we have dirt, layer of stone, 1, 2, 3 air gap, dirt, and then layer of stone, which is actually where the mechanical drills are at. I kind of overmined, but yeah, that's basically it. Now I've just got to pick up all these mechanical drills. Because as of right now, all I really need is 4 levels. That should be more than enough for any of the farms in the future. So now that I've got that done, the actual hard part, hand placing in all of the stone back on each of those layers, it's gonna take me a little bit. Now, I tell you what, it just might have been a farm, but it took an incredibly long amount of time to get it done. And it would have taken me even longer had I not had help from Eggs. By the way, be sure to check out Eggs down in the description below. He is also on the server here, so definitely be sure to check out his videos if you haven't already, and give him a subscribe as well, because he saved me so much time. Even though we were just chatting, he helped me place a ton of this water, a ton of this dirt, a ton of these crops. And man, it definitely made a difference. And speaking of crops, here they are. Now, not all of them are completed yet, as I do have to get more of the jungle wood in here and get that stretched all the way over through these few chunks. And I also have some sweet berries to still plant. I technically want this whole area completely saturated with these sweet berries. But I think it would be a good idea to go ahead and start up our actual harvester that allows us to automatically collect all these. And that means I have to build a harvester to do that. And it's actually going to be a multi-level harvester. This is going to be kind of a cool thing to have set up, because each of these levels are going to have its own separate set of harvesters that's going to stretch across. I think this is going to work out really well. Now, remember how I went ahead and got harvesters started on the craft? Well, I should have a ton of them now. Yeah, I'm going to say that is quite a bit that is built up over a period of time. But I've got to go ahead and get these all ready to go. These are going to be the thing that actually generates all of our resources from this farm. Oh, and by the way, this is also going to double as a bone mill farm. The first thing I want to place in is a controller rail that is going to make sure that this goes forward and only goes forward and doesn't actually turn backwards on me or anything like that. And then I'm going to need a bunch of powered rails that are going to span all of this. I don't have to fill the whole thing with powered rails, but it does make it a little bit easier, making sure that it will never stop. I'm probably gonna have to go make more of these. Now, I did make sure to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 on the block, because these will actually carry a redstone signal of 9 through the rails, and make sure it stops here at the controller rail, which we are going to have some redstone hooked to be able to actually control our cart assembler, which is what's going to need to go here. And we also need the arrow facing in this direction. So with this setup, we should be able to have a cart that essentially runs over here, bounces back, and continues to move forward. And we can test that out by having the rail. We give it a boost, it should hit that wall, and then it just comes immediately back. This is just a regular vanilla mechanic, and this is how we're going to power our cart. Now, there's a reason I gave myself a 1 block chunk like border here on the back, and this is going to make it a lot easier. That way I can have my cart contraption route through the back, and it is still within the loaded chunks. So now on each level, I need to get my harvesters placed in. For example, on the top here, the harvesters need to be on the top section of the sugarcane. All of the other ones, though, they just need to run on the ground. Now, figuring out how I'm going to connect them all in, that is going to be interesting. I've got to maybe route a section out on the side here, maybe, or I could route it down the back, but if I do that, I got to make sure there's blocks there and it doesn't get destroyed. I mean, honestly, right here might work out just fine. And that way we can just have a block that runs all the way down the backside here and then connects all of the harvesters together. Now, as far as the decoration goes on the back, I think I'm gonna do the brackets here. I think this is gonna look pretty good. So like every couple, I'll have a bracket. So like 1, 2, then a bracket. And I've got to do this for all of them. Nobody's gonna ever see this except for me, but it makes me feel a little bit better. Now that I've got all of the harvesters in, this is where the problem is going to happen. I need a way to pull them out. So I do have myself a portable interface, which I can use to tap into an area, for example, like this. But I am going to need a way to get items up. And without rotational energy, that can be a little difficult. Even with rotational energy, just going up with items is typically a little bit more challenging with Create. But I can use a depot system just like I did before to be able to interface with this. And what I could do is here on the back, I can just have that depot system just route all of the items straight up. So with a single block gap, if I do something like this, where they will interface with each other, and I have a depot right here, that will allow me to pull off onto this depot, then send the items up here and continue that chain. And I kind of want it to go taller than the item vaults themselves. So that way, then I can use this and I can pull the items off and just send it over here. Ooh, actually, I completely messed up here because to be able to get the items into the depot itself, I am limited with space. We can't have 2 funnels on one position. So I've got to use a, let's see, item drain, right? Yes, we use an item drain here, send that over to this. Then we can use some depots. Then I can just alternate like so. So the only brass funnel we're going to need for this is the one connected to the portable interface. So the items are going to route through there, and then they get routed into this funnel, which then spits it onto this one. This one then collects it and continues to take all the items up. This should work out perfectly. You know, I really shouldn't say that. I should be a little more like, this might work perfectly. Yeah, fingers crossed. As far as the logistics go on the inside, I'm thinking we could do a system here that essentially sorts all of the items, and we can pull off the bottom with funnels. And then over here, if there ever is overflow, that overflow will go into this vault. Well, kind of. It's actually going to be turned into bone meal. We can have composters that run down the side, and any overflow will be pulled immediately off of this belt and sent into the composters, which will be immediately sent into the item vault via hoppers. And now for the filters, we could put like wheat in this one. We could do sweet berries here. It really doesn't matter in this because I want to handle these items a little bit later. And there's our cocoa. Now, you may notice, where's the seeds from the wheat going to go? And yeah, they're just going to get auto bone mealed. I don't really need those. And the way this system works is if these vaults ever get filled, well, which they probably will, this only holds like 30,000 items, right? They will end up just being converted into bone meal. Let's go ahead and get that set up. This setup shouldn't be too bad. We'll have some composters that are set along here, and we just need chutes. Thankfully, in the newer version, chutes allow us to send directly into the composter, and then just regular hoppers pulling out of here, sending into the vault. And that right there will handle bone meal production. And of course, to prevent this from shooting items everywhere, you can just put a trap door on the side. That'll make sure to hold it on the belt. So now I need to just go down here and glue all of this cart contraption up. And I think we now have the items being handled. Everything, for the most part, I think is ready to go. Now with everything hooked up, we can put the mine cart in here and make sure to set this to lock rotation so it doesn't spin or do anything wonky. And then we just need to give it a redstone signal, and fingers crossed that it works. Oh goodness. Yeah, the inventory is probably going to fill up quite quickly on the first pass, and I'll have to go back in and either let these despawn or clean them up. But will it stop and allow this to transfer? That is another question. I'm hoping that it pulls from here. Like, that is sending outwards. Wait. Am I stopping it? Hold on. It doesn't look like it gave itself enough time to reach the interface. There it goes. It went, but it's not stopping. I'm a little bit concerned about this. I'm going to have to keep an eye out on it. Now, it does seem to want to work every now and then, but I think to make it a bit more consistent, I might have some luck if I just simply add a powered rail to the back. I think it might allow it to go back one. I want to do it quickly. All right, so we'll let it go. It's now connecting, but it does seem kind of finicky, and I think just adding this might help. Oh, that's a powered rail, and it's not actually powered. Uh-oh. Will it even make it to that? Yeah, I didn't think it would. You know what? It does look like it is working now. For some reason, it just didn't work at first. I do think there's like a slight timing issue, but it does seem like it's able to keep up, especially after that first pass where there was a ton of items in there. Yeah, it's working now because the contraption's empty. And inside here, we already have some sweet berries. We have a bunch of wheat, some sugar cane, and cocoa beans. And before I know it, I'm going to end up having so much of the bone meal. We already have 25, and that's just from the seeds. Yeah, and this definitely seems like it's working just fine. And if I turn this off, whenever it comes back, perfect. It shuts it off, turns it into a full contraption, and this is great because this will allow me to continue finishing up the farm. So after a little bit of patience, I now have everything completely filled in. Yeah, there's a lot going on here. All of these farms completely filled out, and this thing is really making some resources. And I also went ahead and decided to push this back one. And that makes the contraption interact with this a little bit easier. I did move this back one. I do need to put the redstone block like up here somewhere, but I mean, for right now, this is doing exactly what I want it to do. Let's go ahead, speaking of that, and just move this here like that. And I guess what I could do as well is I could put this on a timer if I really wanted to, but leaving it constantly running is kind of what I want to do for right now. But up here is where we see all of the magic. Look at the cocoa beans. So I have a feeling that cocoa beans are going to be one of our huge bone meal generators. I mean, I just have a feeling. I mean, honestly, all of these are going to be huge. And if I really wanted to, what I could do is I could set a threshold switch to lock these chutes. Once this has so many in here, let's say I have 8,000 of each in here. I could then lock that. And then anything else would just be turned into bone meal. Everything from this farm would just be turned into bone meal. And that might be something that I set up. And I think that is going to be definitely something I do. I mean, I don't want to utilize the full size of the vault. I just wanted to use the length of the vault. So yeah, like 8,000 of each. And if we go over 8,000, then we'll just simply shut these off. So I'm thinking the logic for this should simply be to have this on power on when, set it to stacks. And I think we'll go even lower. We'll go about 4,000 items, which is about 64 stacks, give or take. And if we set this to 64, actually it'd be better if I just scrolled up the bottom number here. You hold shift, it actually scrolls up by 10. So yes, we'll set this to at 64. So this should keep about 64 in stock. Whenever it reaches that amount, then it will then lock this, and then all items will just simply go to be turned into bone meal. And I think that right there, my friends, is the start to a chocolate factory. Whether you believe it or not, all of these ingredients right here are going to be required to make anything that is going to be chocolate related, specifically the sugar and the cocoa beans, which we now have covered, the sweet berries for coating in chocolate, and we also have the wheat, so that way we can make sweet rolls, which is going to require some milk. And I think that might be something we work on next episode. And also all of the logistics for sending these items to a central loading station, so we can actually, for once, start using our trains. Now, if you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to click that subscribe button if you haven't already, and give this video a huge thumbs up. And also, again, don't forget to check out Eggs' channel, link down in the description below, as he helped out quite a bit with me getting this farm up. Whether he wants to believe it or not, he helped out a lot. If you're looking for more places to find me, be sure to either follow me over on X, or you can join my Discord, discord.gg/ChosenArchitect, also linked down in the description below. And also check out the Just Create Discord, where we have a thriving community over there. I'd love for you to join. I do chat in there quite a bit, and it's always fun to see you guys discussing the SMP. So, with that being said, it's also now time for me to thank the amazing supporter of today's episode. And that amazing thanks is going to go out to Peterson. Thank you so much for your amazing support and choosing to support me over on the Discord by becoming a Discord premium member and supporting me and my content in one of the best ways possible, and gaining access to the World Downloads channel and all kinds of other fun perks on the Discord. So definitely check that out. And guys, I thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you in the next one, and I can't forget to say it, as always, thanks for watching. Bye!